This is episode 168. I'm Tommy Serafinsky, and this is a conservation and science podcast, where we take a deep dive into topics of ecology, conservation, and human-wildlife conflict. I strive to bring you diverse perspectives on every environmental story, while examining their social and political dimensions. In this episode, we talk about the coexistence with large carnivores in Estonia. Our guest is Helen Arusoo, an Estonian nature journalist and the leader of the National Animal Working Group. And in case you don't know, national animal of Estonia is the wolf. So I asked Helen how Estonians manage to develop something that I would consider a gold standard in coexistence with large carnivores, and how they managing conflict with those animals, how they managing social acceptance of large carnivores, and how they managing population of those animals. So this is an episode that comes very timely. Not long ago, I published an episode about the EU proposal for lowering the protection status of wolves. That was episode 163. And obviously, I asked Helen also what she thinks about that proposal in the European Union, and that conversation will come back to us in the coming weeks. I'm expecting when the European Commission will be voting on it. So if you want to develop a solid opinion on coexistence with large carnivores and protection status of wolves, for example, then you definitely listen to this episode, and after that, listen to episode 163. And by the way, on this episode, I teased the series of limited run podcasts or limited access podcasts with guests from 163, and these episodes are coming. You just need to wait until I finish editing them. As you may imagine, this is quite a task, getting a constant flow of current episodes like this one, and also editing the kind of like a 5 extra episodes. But they are coming. I hope they will come before the end of January, early February at the latest. So just, thank you for your patience while you're waiting on them. And if you want to help me, you can always buy me a coffee. buymeacoffee.com/Tommy'sOutdoors. The link is in the description. A coffee always helps me because I'm editing those episodes very early in the morning. So you know how it goes. And now, without any further delay, Helen Arusoo and coexistence with large carnivores in Estonia. Helen, welcome to the show. It's so good to have you.
Hi, Tommy. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's been a long time coming.
Yes, we did meet in spring, right?
Yes, it was April.
Yeah.
Listen, I was reading in preparation to this episode, and just for the listeners, the background is that on the 23rd of April, 2018, Estonia named wolf their national animal. Wolf is not Estonia's national animal. And while I was reading about this, I hit a sentence that in 2017, the hunters and the board of sheep farmers joined the discussion and agree on the concept in order to avoid further splits within society. And I read this and I thought to myself, man, these Estonians have a civilization there, not like those savages in the rest of Europe. And I'm only half joking, because that sentence tells me two things. Number one, that there was split within the society, and then people decided that this is bad and we need to do something about it. So could you lay out that whole process to us and also tell me how it was achieved? Were there any special things done to achieve this consensus, or are Estonians just the better people than the rest of us?
Well, thanks for the question. It's a long story, but I really would like to start with a joke, We have so many names for all kinds of animals. We have this animal of the year, and then we have these animals coming from the China culture. This coming year, I think it's the fire dragon or something. And then we have this coat of arms of Estonia that has 3 lions on it. So lions have never lived in Estonia, or sometimes we say the free leopards. We even don't know the difference. Of course we do. And so the coat of arms came to us with the Baltic Germans, which was the noble ruling class for Estonians for 600 years. And so we came to the point that, we feel ourselves a bit like, nature people. It's kind of a feeling of it. And so we thought that there is an animal missing, actually, that represents the forest. This is just one part of the story. The other part is, I think, our Finno-Ugric roots. In Finno-Ugric roots, we have to show that there are no genders in speaking, and it also means that we separate only living things and not living things. In our language. So I remember when I was trying to learn English when I was a kid, and I came across this thing that animal was named an it, and I didn't understand how it can be an it, because it's a living thing. So we have just only one word for animals and human beings also. So we don't have this he, she, it. So, and it kind of explains also maybe the different view on nature also, that everything is equal, totally equal. It's always been. And sometimes also the stones are among those that are kind of alive. And so maybe this background gives this, the feeling that we don't share this westernized feeling, dividing of nature and humans. I think this is the most deepest layer. But of course, in the 1700 and 1800, also with the Baltic Germans came the idea that the wolf should be shot. It was the war that was really declared to the wolf in Western society. And I think in England, it was the first country to get rid of wolf. And but when you read from the old church papers, they say that the Estonian peasants were very, they didn't want to kill the wolf, and it never, they never succeeded in that so very well. But then came the blessed Soviet Union time, and with the real industrialization and, the very famous sentence that we just take from nature. We don't need any, I don't know how it's in English, giveaways or something. We just say and take what we want from the nature. And so in we were occupied in 1940, but 1954 came out a book which was named Destruction of Wolves and Lynxes, and also for predator birds there was some kind of books, and also it was in Latvia and Lithuania. So it was a big thing to get rid of all the apex predators because they were making damage to the livestock. Very simple, and so we have also that layer. But they never got rid of the wolves also in the 50s, really, because we had a very long history to not listening to the rulers, from the Baltic German times, I think, and then also the new rulers from Russia. And so the wolf always survived. And as long as I know, or as good as I know, it seems it's true that Estonia is the only country, at least in EU, where all the free apex predators survived somehow. Of course, we did have very little, the numbers were very little of wolves in the 1930s also, before the Soviets, because everybody was all the world was becoming very rational suddenly, and we went along somehow. But the wolf always survived, and we never forgot, which is now important stuff, how to live with this animal. So, but in 1910s and no, 2010, somewhere like there, we felt that, okay, the hatred for wolf is also growing also in Estonia. We saw it all around by our neighbors, also by the Finns, who are our relatives through language. And we were thinking, and this is a very bad moment for us if we also let this hatred for wolf grow, and livestock people who only want to represent their interests, that they get what they want, and we get a polarized society. We didn't want that. So a couple of conservationists that were thinking maybe when naming wolf national animal, selecting it, could save, make like a campaign and save this from the hatred that was really getting a start. Because I remember in 1911, I saw on a photo a car in Estonia. There was a label that let's make this island wolf-free.
Oh, geez.
Oh, what? This is one of the islands of Estonia, and I was like really very unhappy about it. So it was like starting really, and so we came together, and mostly nature conservatives. And what we understood is that we can't name a national animal. We have to have a consensus with every stakeholder group. And we will only succeed if we get hunters and goat and sheep breeders with us. And of course, it seemed a bit like utopia, but we started to talk, and then newspaper made also a gallup, just asking if we had a national animal, what could it be out of these 70 mammals? First came hedgehog. I know English people also love hedgehogs, but we love hedgehogs because it has a very special place in our epos, and like a very wise animal and giving good advice and being very little and very wise. But the second place, wolf got the second place. So, and we knew that wolf is kind of popular also because of the qualities it represents. Living in a pack and a family and keep being like local and then being brave and all that stuff. And then we started talking with all those stakeholder groups, because can you imagine any election of a national animal that this would cost so much money to make really this relevant? So we went the other way, that really talked to all the groups that matter, also the nature tourist groups and people like that. And so when we got these sheep farmers along, they said yes. They thought about it and said, well, we are not against the wolf, but if you help us by getting better compensation schemes later, if we work together. So then they agree. And I really think these people are really my heroes, that they really did it. So you see, the hatred was not deep. Of course, we do have a lot of different people among all the stakeholder groups. We are hunters that hate wolf. We have people that hate hunters. We have sheep farmers that hate wolf. And we have also cover stories that give away the impression that, wolf haters live here, but this is how media works. They bring up one conflict, and those people usually don't belong to the Goat and Sheep Farmers Association. So we gave away a bit credit that we will help them to get better compensation schemes. And so the hunters first said yes to wolf, and then they said not no, but they stayed neutral. So we were very, very happy about it, that they at least stayed neutral. And so when it was announced in the 23rd of April on the day of St. George, because he also symbolizes something with a wolf. He has a wolf with it, this symbolic language. And there were a lot of sayings about wolves in Estonian heritage. starting with that day or around that day that the St. George is keeping the wolves away from the livestock. So it was kind of old sayings also playing along with this date. And so now we are 5 years away from this situation.
So that was really kind of like an idea to save the wolf and kind of like a cement its place in Estonia and in Estonian culture, just to stop any movement that could lead into extirpation of wolves or whatever. Just stop it. It's like no, it's a national animal, so you kind of like caught it early.
Yeah, because we saw the polarization process, for example, in Finland, or also in other places where we see now where the wolf has come back and people who have forgotten how to live with this very complex animal. So, for example, in Germany, you also see that there are people who really, really love the wolf and wouldn't hurt not one of them. And there are people who really don't want to see any landscape with the wolf. So we see this is polarizing society, but actually the wolf is something so wonderful and just a miracle that everybody should come together and think how we could make this thing work, that wolf lives here. Wolf lives everywhere. And and here starts the thing that actually first you really have to understand that this is a human wildlife conflict animal, one of those number ones, one of the most complex ones. So you can never approach this wolf policy like making only rules like conservation rules and saying you have to keep the wolf, you have to get on with that. This is not working. This is not working, for example, what they are doing in Germany or maybe in other countries in Scandinavia. There are like strict rules. They are not really working together with all the stakeholders and understanding how the society is ready for a wolf. So you have to also sacrifice, so to say, some packs of wolves or the numbers of wolves just to get this thing going, really. Because it's not a joke that this was the only animal that a real war was declared in France, and at least in France, with the army they were going after us, after the wolf in the, 17th century, because wolf is so strong, so smart. So if you don't approach to this animal with a different set of tools, that really combines the best communication and bringing in everybody, so you can't really achieve what you want to achieve, namely that everybody respects the wolf. No, they will hate the wolf in their heart. And if you don't allow to hunt the wolf, then it goes into poaching, and then you lose maybe the whole pack. But if you give out some of the permissions to hunt some of the wolves, then you perhaps keep the pack but lose some of the wolves.
No, and you touch on so many things.
Yeah, sorry.
No, this is great. You can, I just thinking I can take that discussion in any number of directions right now. So maybe I just want to go back to something that you said to me earlier. The realm of solutions, and this is what you said, like the realm of solutions, like guard dogs, compensation schemes, all those things. This is not really full realm of solutions, because I think that your words were that the hatred of wolves starts when the farmer suddenly in the middle of his busy life finds a dead sheep or a dead cow. And so I would like you to elaborate on this aspect of it, of the, why do you think that, the approach of like, we have fencing and compensation and guard dogs, everything is good to go, we just get on with it. Why this is not the full solution in your view?
Yeah, because the compensation schemes or the money that goes for preventing the situation when when you lose your sheep or goat or whatever, dogs, this is only the material costs, but people are psychological beings, and they have also immaterial costs, which are much higher sometimes. And the new scheme that really approaches very well to this is the concept of human-wildlife conflict management, that sees that you really understand what a sheep farmer is feeling, or also hunter who loses his dog. But okay, the dog is lost on the process of hunting, all right, but still the dog is dear to him or to the family. But losing the sheep or your own livelihood, this is a cascade of frustration. And usually the first time the wolf comes, then you are shocked. And if you get the money, okay. But if you find groups of people who get compensation, we have such kind of states, countries like Norway, they get a lot of money for compensated. But there are much deeper layers where the hate comes from, because they have not been cared for in the long process at the beginning. That if you lose the sheep, you need the psychological help. You need help, somebody to make the fence somewhere. You have to move the animals. You have to have somebody who take care of the other works that you have to do all the time. And if you know that you perhaps you don't get the money because the valuation scheme says, perhaps it was a dog or a jackal or somebody who is not a threatened species, then you don't get money for that.
Not only that, I read about a case in Germany where the wolf jumped over the fence and killed sheep, and they didn't get compensation because they didn't have protection around the fence that the wolf will dig under the fence. So they didn't have that. But it didn't dig under the fence, it just jumped over. Like, no, but you're supposed to have this thing and you don't have it, you don't get any compensations.
Yeah, that's how you build hatred, really. Because the main idea, I come to this, what is the main idea, but some of the countries are very starting and have started to really address this problem, that they have voluntary groups that rush in and help people also when they lose sheep. Also in Germany, they have such groups, and in Finland and in Estonia, we don't have it. And we really look up to these countries and would like to know how they do it, because it's vital, really. Because the hatred really is born in the moment you lose your sheep or animals, and you don't know if you're going to get the compensation. And if it's like Estonia, then you get it in 1 year. Let's say you lose your sheep in January, so the payment is next January. And if you are Latvian, then you get nothing. They have no compensation. So, and we see that there also the hatred is building up. And of course, sometimes you get the compensation, very generous compensation, but still you have hatred because it's rooted deep, 3 layers deep, because, you don't want to deal with it. And why it's so deep? It's because the benefits of having an apex predator, we all have it, but the cost goes on very little group of people. So they feel they pay for our wolf love, and that's true. And that's non-equity. This is it has no equity in this. So there is a very wise book that UN and WWF have done together in 2021. This was one of the COVID summers. I read about it, and I read since then. I read it 4 times. The name is A Future for All, and they really address this human wildlife conflict, and they have a lot of animals there. This is not a wolf only. There are elephants and cheetahs. Everyone who is destroying something of human livelihood or killing also people. The elephants also kill a lot of people in India, for example, and how to address this. And they say that if we don't really solve this problem of human-wildlife conflict correctly, then we can't build up a really working conservation management at all. And they say that, these 17 sustainable development little icons, they say somehow like there are 17, but the 18th should be actually human-wildlife conflict, because it's connected to 15 of the goals directly, what we want. So, and they say, I found this book, it came out 2021, and the Estonian national animal was selected 2018, so 3 years before. And what I read there, it really echoed so well and responded so well all the thoughts that we have thought kind of our own. But I think, of course, it was in the air. It was not that we invented it. We just made a step in this direction. And I was so happy to read that they have there a special page on this book. It's really downloadable, free for everybody, and a wonderful cheetah on the cover. And they say they have a call for action for everybody, also for companies and officials and stakeholders and voluntary groups, just really to think through that a conflict animal means that the benefits we get, everybody of us gets the benefits. I'm so proud to say that in Estonia we have the wolf and the bear and the lynx. But we have to think about that only a little group of people really is suffering of it. And one of the deep layers that the hatred or the insecurity comes is that you have to be on guard always. When does it come? And, who wants to live like being in war? So we have to think through what we really demand of those people and make it as comfortable as possible and really is rewarding as possible. We have to think about it really it's not about money. It is about money. They must have the security of getting the money. And one of the pitholes is also the thing that we have now golden jackal in Estonia. And this is not a threatened species. It came itself. It's a new species in the whole natural history of Estonia. And now jackal takes such a toll from sheep. And guess what? Everybody is hoping who have the sheep that it would be the wolf, because for the wolf you get some money. So, but when the dog comes or the jackal comes, then you don't get the money. It's not a threatened species.
I think that the wolf will also suppress jackal, wouldn't he?
Yes, but they do, because this is a smaller canine and they don't tolerate each other. The wolf will kill it. But we have such a long coastline, Estonia. Estonia is small, like 45,000 square meters, 1,000, but no, kilometers. I'm sorry. But our coastline is almost 4,000 kilometers. It goes like this. So golden jackal finds a lot of places where to live and settle itself, and it kills the sheep there where the wolf doesn't want to be.
Yeah, they're colonizing like the entirety of Europe. Helen, listen, you said a very interesting thing about allowing hunting for wolves and maybe sort of like sacrificing almost few wolves in order to do that is very interesting to me. That goes straight into social sciences part of it, and that is an argument that is often made, that even if that outtake of animals is not making a huge difference in terms of numbers or in terms of protection of a stock, then it at least gives some sort of the agency to people who can do something about it, And I read recently that when it comes to conflict with bears in France, they are not even allowed to scare the bear when it approaches the flock of sheep. And I read that, like, what a stupid regulation. Like, who came out, like, you cannot even scare that bear, scared away? You're just supposed to sit there and watch as it eats your sheep. Like, what the heck? So could you tell us a little bit, like, how that system works, how this is managed? Because I presume, like, this is going squarely into managing of wolf population. So how do you manage wolves in Estonia?
Yes, every year about 40% of the packs are hunted, because we have agreed on a number of packs. We count also the individuals. It depends on the season, but we have 2,050 to 400 wolves, sometimes 200 to 300. Yeah, it has grown. But really, we count the packs. We have now 35 packs, I think, and this is the uppermost limit that we have agreed on. We have this 10-year agreement document, how many wolves we're going to have and how many the society can carry out, so to say, and can tolerate. So these are hunted because if you don't hunt, first of all, the wolf will lose, I think with time it will lose this feeling of being afraid of humans. It is very important. And the other thing is that wolves breed very well. You could have very quickly a lot of wolves. The third thing is that we have to have hunters who know how to hunt a wolf, because sometimes you need to have a hunter wolf. Of course, we don't have rabies anymore, but the rabies is not out of the world. So I think it's good when we have these wolf hunters also up to some degree. And we have wolf in Appendix 5. We have always had the right to hunt the wolf. And I know that in many parts of Europe, it's in Appendix 4. You can't actually hunt it very well, only through some licenses, which are hard to get. And I think Appendix 4 is not good, because you can't react very quickly when it's needed, and it makes the hunters kind of out of the game. I think this is the solution of countries that have really not lived together with wolves very long time. So there come out very different attitudes in those countries. I remember I just make a little discourse to somewhere else. I remember seeing a film from Czech Republic, where they did get wolves, didn't have wolves 200 years in some kind of village. And so they really were so pissed off that the wolves came there that they wrote a letter to their environment, to their government. Why did they let wolves in? So, I was looking at this is the other end of it. Livestock people having only this livestock thoughts in their head and not thinking like the wolf as in a holistic way, like what the wolf means to biodiversity. But the other end is that you don't give hunters any license, and you treat them like somebody who wants to hunt really and kill. But hunting is not about killing. Hunting is, I'm not a hunter, and I will never be, because, it's just saying this.
It's not your thing.
It's not my thing. And sometimes I feel that women who have given birth, you can't be a killer and giving life in the same time. But I really enjoy the food that comes out of the forest. So I'm not, not against hunting. I think it's a part of the culture. It must always be. And in Estonia, we have a special thing about hunters also, that we live so close to Russia. So we are really happy that we have 10,000 extra rifles in the society, And it's good that people are not afraid of rifles and know how to use them. And also now we have made this deal that the number of wolves hunted is put together where all the stakeholders are taking part in the discussion. This is and also about bears and lynx, and it's 4 times a year we come together and everybody gets to say what they have to say, and the scientists say as the first. We think, like, for example, this year, it was, I think, in the autumn, the beginning of the autumn, that we decided 44 wolves, must be culled. Because, we have reached, and even it's too much of those packs that we have agreed to have in Estonia. And we have also agreed that we know how many packs Estonia could carry as a territory with this 45,000 kilometers, square kilometers, maybe 45 packs, but we are not ready for that. And maybe we won't be, but we know what there could be. So up to now, we try to be with 30 actually, but we are 35. So quite a big number of wolves will be culled this year. But this is where the agreement comes together. Of course, the nature conservationists and the wolf lover in me I'm not happy about the wolves that are hunted, but I see that this is the price. Everybody must get something. Otherwise, poaching goes underground, and people will be very hateful, and you have to give everybody something. So I think, like, for example, in Germany or somewhere where this wolf is in Appendix 4, they are really not, they are shutting the hunters out, and they are shutting very many stakeholders out and just concentrating only on wolf. But you can't do it. Nature protection, this is all about human protection, protecting nature against humans. There's nothing else. So if you can't have a contact with other humans, other stakeholders, then it will fail.
And tell me, so is it the call of wolves, is it allocated to recreational hunters? Like any hunter in Estonia can have, go on a wolf hunt, provided they have it. Like, how does it work? Do you have a tag system? Do you have I'm just curious. How does that work?
Estonian hunting is based on this community principle. And most of these communities belong to the big Estonian Hunter Society. And then the 144 wolves, these permits, they have given out to certain very specific regions. Not every region gets one, because the researchers and wolf experts know where they should be hunted and where they should not be hunted. We have certain regions where they are not touched at all. So sometimes some regions get upset that for years they don't get any permission to hunt a wolf. But that's how it works. We listen to the wolf experts.
And is the hunter from the region that doesn't have a permit can travel to the region that does have a permit and still hunt wolf? Or is it like very, I'm just trying to tease out, like, how strict is it?
They want to, I think they could, because you have the license. But would the other one take you in? No, you stay with your own group. I think that's the real thing. Because also people from abroad can come actually and take part. But then it's quite complicated, because you have to get to one group that goes, because wolf hunting is not going out yourself, right? You go with a group. And so it's possible, but it's a lot of work, I think. But people do that. And also bear hunting, we hunt, I think, 1/10 of bears every year, something like that. I think it's 1,000 bears right now, and we have agreed as a society that 1,000 bears is the limit. And so, about 100 bears, something like that, 80 is hunted.
I remember when we met in Paris, you were telling me that, you can actually buy a permit to hunt bear and just go in and get a bear.
Yes, it's quite expensive.
Yeah, but it is fascinating to me, like how you folks manage to raise above the divides and get to the one point where you're actually speaking as a nation and managing the animals as a nation. Are there any pressures or cracks in this beautiful picture that you painted? Like, are there any groups that are not happy with it, on both sides?
Of course. And, sometimes they say the shot comes from a corner you don't wait it for. So, yeah, we have some nature extreme conservative people who really don't want to allow any hunting at all. And so they have gone to the court with this. And it has stirred up a lot of talk, and they have sued the government for allowing to hunt the wolves. But we have all we're very sad about it, because usually the sheep farmers do something about it. They say that we want to get rid of wolves, but now suddenly come the conservationist people and say we don't have to, we can't kill any wolf. And this is, we didn't expect that at all, because we were the one in the middle that really started the whole thing of the national animal and to really rehabilitate the wolf. We always speak about, when this famous book, Silent Spring, came out, and it was very bad with eagles, with predatory birds. And everybody wanted to protect eagles. So now the eagles are thriving, and we can say that the eagles are rehabilitated. But the wolf is still not rehabilitated in the Western world, I think. And also in Estonia, it's a way to go. It's a way you have to go with all the stakeholder groups. But if somebody pops out and points fingers on, sheep farmers, then it's not so good.
It's just stroking conflict, right? It's just creating conflict. System clearly works. Why would you try to screw it up with something that works?
But these are those times that extreme people come out, and so we have it all there also. But it has not destroyed the willingness of really building up the image of wolf as one of the greatest animals on earth and really suitable to compare yourself with. There are so many books written about wolf. But one funny thing also, when I have spoken about the wolf in English, then somebody has come to me. A lot of people have said, don't tell what's the name of the wolf in Estonia. Use the older name, because we have the name Hunt. And if you see it written Hunt, it means hunt, right? So we can't really believe you that you are for the wolf if you name it hunt. And the story is that Estonians have a lot of names coming from the old beliefs that you shouldn't name the animal if you don't want it to be here. Or if you go to the forest hunting, you just don't speak about the same name, because it would hear and go away. It works as two ways. First of all, if you want an animal, you want to hunt a rabbit or something, then you shouldn't speak, because he hears and goes away. But if you speak of a wolf, he hears and it can come. No. You shouldn't speak. And so we have collected 500 names for wolf, 523 names for wolves. So we said it over and over again, using all. And the names, the heritage shows the relationship with the wolf was fantastic from the old Estonian side, because 90% or more, the names are like really beautiful names, not pejorative, not bad names. Like asking for him, oh, you little wolf, and you beautiful wolf, and you're the king of the forest, and oh, you're so nice. And I can't translate the names really.
Okay.
Because the oldest.
Yeah, gotcha. No, I like 500 names of the wolf. That wolf doesn't know about them, so they don't know that you talk about him.
And then suddenly, our own name for it is Susi. This is the most common name, Susi. But then the Baltic German games, right? And they have a nice name, Hund, for the Hund. The Hund is actually the name for a dog.
Yeah, like a hound.
Yeah, like a hound. And we took it as one of the names just to not speak about the wolf. And now it's the official name, and it's so funny. We use the dog name, German dog name for our wolf, which is like has 500 names, and we have the only name that is not our own name. It's crazy, really. This is so crazy. And then I have this poster building up, and there is the wolf on it, and it reads Susi. And people listening to me asking, why you always speak about Hund when you have this nice name? And that's how it is.
That's why.
But for the beer we have 100 names only. So the wolf has really but the wolf is 500. It's crazy. I couldn't believe it, really.
Oh man, this is really interesting. So listen, Helen. So you're I presume you already answered the question. About the EU is like pondering on moving the protection status of wolves from Annex 4 to Annex 5. Big discussions going on at the moment. So I'm guessing that you think it's a good move. It's a good decision to do it.
It would be very good. It's a starting point to speak with all the stakeholders, and as John Linnell said, this big wolf expert, that it's not about it's Appendix 4 and Appendix 5 have the same goals, keeping the number, but at the moment the Appendix 4 hinders to act quickly and and builds up this immaterial loss, what I was talking about before, that you are insecure. I see that in Germany people, they don't even know what's the upper limit. How many wolves should they have to say that now it's in the status of least concern?
That's a good point, right? Because I spoke with one of the people about this subject, and he says, like, I always ask the question, like, so how many wolves is enough wolves?
Exactly.
And like like most of the pro-wolf people, let's call it this umbrella term, right? I appreciate it's maybe not particularly, but let's call it like pro-wolf, right? Wolf lovers. They don't have a answer to that, other than like, it's missing from its historic range. But then again, the concept of historic range doesn't really work, especially in Europe. So like, okay, so how many wolves is enough? And there's no question to that. So I kind of like it personally, well, not personally, but I'm kind of like getting upset when I hear really respected conservationists and ecologists who say things like, we should this and we should that.
Yeah, I also think that maybe it would be a good solution to look at countries who have had wolf quite a long time, or like Estonia, almost the whole time, how we do it because it's working, and not think about that we make our own rules. Because first of all, if the wolf is missing, was not there, I mean, for 200 years, then you really have forgotten how to live with it. So please look at the countries who have kept the tradition, and you see that they hunt it and they have a different attitude to it. So it would be good to listen to little countries at least at once in this matter, because usually we have to make everything after the big ones and be like the last ones to be civilized. But sometimes being the last one to be civilized is a good thing. Then you bring something
like I said, like I said on top of the show, as far as I'm concerned, you're like way more civilized than than the rest of because like this is like, to me, this is a measure of civility. Like, hey, there is this rift, starting in a society. Let's do something about it to have a coherent society and save the wolf while we at it. So I like that's the measure of civility. Helen, what advice would you give to other countries and other places where, like you said, wolf is not present for hundreds of years? People forgot about how to live with wolves. They got comfortable, right? Because I think this is also that element that we are very comfortable, talk about UK or Ireland. We don't have to deal with wolf. We don't have the danger, in air quotes, that the wolf will show up, because then someone, needs to bring wolf, which makes it ever so easier to prevent this from happening. But even like in the continental Europe, in the regions of Spain or Italy, the conflict is just red hot. What advice would you give? Where to start when you're not dealing with people who says like, oh, we have a rift in society, we have a division in society, let's do something about it. Where you have people who are the opposed, like, yeah, they just gonna drive the wedge into that division in the society for their, own, political or otherwise gain. What advice would you give it?
I think, first of all, you have to think about biodiversity in that sense that I have seen that in this discussion, biodiversity of different kind is played against each other. For example, I start from a bit far away. The sheep farmers sometimes say that the biodiversity that is built up by sheep, all this landscape, is equal to the biodiversity built up by the wildlife, the wolf. And they count all the plants there and say it's a different kind of biodiversity, but it's as good as the wolf one. And I see it coming. I see it quite a lot that we shouldn't ever go to this place that different biodiversities have been played against each other, but it is. This is a very big problem. I've really met very highly educated people who say that biodiversity created with people and by people is as good as this. And we shouldn't prefer, and those people there in the north, they already have the wolf and they already have the flying squirrel, and let them have it. I think this is like so wrong, because yes, people can create biodiversity, a very good, managing sheep can be very good for a land, but you shouldn't say that it competes with wolf landscapes, because they say that if there is only one apex predator on a land, and that would be then in the sheep lands, the human, then it's less. It's not good. It should be at least two big predators. If you have humans who is controlling all the antlers and deers and then having sheep and wants to keep the sheep without fences and be very comfortable where they have been all the time, then they kind of say that we are already good enough as we are. Also, it was very strange that in this Czech film, about the Czech film that I told you about, there was also said that the letter that went to the government, that we have lived here for so many centuries without a wolf, so good, and so it works, and we stand on the heritage of our ancestors who have lived already with a wolf so long, so it works. So as if the world works without wolf in so many places. But the reality is that the wolf has survived somewhere else, and we should never think that those couple of hundred of years without wolf should speak for the whole creation time or evolution. So first of all, everybody should work as much as possible to bring back the real wildlife with apex predators everywhere. Of course, there are places like in England, there are perhaps not so much room for that. I don't know. But I would say that the wildlife with apex predators is important to have. Then you have the nature, really. And the other advice, I don't think that I'm the one to give advice, but if you're asked like that, I would say that really look under layers of your country's heritage, and you will find the respect for wolves. Just keep on looking under, I don't know if you have the heritage, if you can reach to it, but I'm sure that every culture had a respect for wolf, everyone. It's just only some of them have lost it and think that the sheep have ruled the landscape for so long, so we can be without the wolf, and already our ancestors lived without it, and so that was it. No. I don't believe it. So my advice would be look at your heritage and you will find respect for wolves. And
that's really smart words. Helen,
yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. It's been great.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.